to get my back blown out in peace. You think I got time to talk about a divorce that's a year old?
Teyana walked into court completely unaware of what was waiting for her. She thought it was just another routine custody hearing, something she had done before, something she was mentally prepared for. But deep down, she had no idea that the air in that courtroom would change the moment she stepped in. The judge looked unusually serious. People whispered more than usual. And when the judge opened the folder and read the motion aloud, Teyana looked like she'd been punched. Her smile faded instantly. Her face went pale. And her world, once again, began to unravel in front of strangers. A secret custody claim, filed without her knowledge, had already been submitted by Iman. It was real. It was official. And it was devastating. She stood there frozen, unable to speak, as if time had stopped just long enough for her heart to break. According to insiders, Teyana wasn't even informed about the updated documents. Her legal team looked completely blindsided. Iman had quietly filed an emergency motion seeking full legal and physical custody of their daughter. It wasn't just a small change or a request for time adjustment. It was a complete takeover of parental control. Her lawyers scrambled, flipping through folders, whispering in panic, trying to piece together what had just happened. Teyana reportedly whispered to her lawyer, "What is happening right now?" Her voice trembled. Her hands shook. She had no clue this was coming, not even a warning text, a phone call, nothing. Just days earlier, they had stood together in unity after removing Aaron from their lives. That image of partnership made the betrayal cut even deeper. She felt tricked, like the rug had been pulled out from beneath her in the cruelest way possible. The documents revealed even more hurtful details. They described Teyana's home as emotionally unstable, and painted a dark picture of her parenting environment. Iman had used the chaos involving Aaron as his main argument, citing screaming matches between Aaron and their daughter as proof that the child was being emotionally harmed. He even included therapist notes, school concerns, and a few home video clips showing moments of distress. He claimed their daughter had grown anxious and withdrawn, and that she needed immediate intervention. The words felt cold on paper, but for Teyana, they were like daggers. It wasn't just the accusations that hurt, it was how silently and secretly he had gone about it. Not a single conversation. Not even a heads up. He didn't give her the dignity of preparing. He just let the courts deliver the blow. And that felt intentional. Witnesses say Teyana tried to hold it together, but her emotions cracked right through her professionalism. As the judge read the filing line by line, her hands visibly shook. She blinked rapidly, as if trying to wake up from a nightmare. Then she requested a recess, her voice barely above a whisper. Once outside, she didn't even make it to the hallway bathroom. She collapsed against the wall, sobbing. "How could he do this to me?" she repeated, again and again, her voice breaking more with each word. Those around her tried to comfort her, but she barely heard them. Her ears rang. Her heart ached. This wasn't just a custody battle, it was a public betrayal. And she felt humiliated in front of everyone. It wasn't about pride, it was about pain. Real, raw, and all-consuming. Iman's camp, meanwhile, tried to frame his actions as protective, not aggressive. One insider claimed, he did this for the child, not to hurt Teyana. They said he feared that if he alerted her, she would delay or make things worse. To them, it was strategy, a way to ensure the child's safety without confrontation. But critics weren't buying it. Even fans who had once respected Iman began questioning his methods. "Real fathers don't ambush mothers in court," one commenter wrote. The intent may have been protective, but the execution felt like punishment. The courtroom wasn't just a place for justice that day. It became the battleground for their fractured trust. And in the court of public opinion, Iman's reputation was shifting quickly. People weren't just asking why he did it, they were asking who he had become. As the news began to leak, social media exploded in every direction, a wave of digital noise that grew louder by the hour. Within just a few hours, Teyana's name was trending across nearly every platform. Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, everywhere you looked, the story was there. Everyone had something to say, and no one was holding back. It wasn't just fans reacting. Celebrities, parenting advocates, mental health professionals, And even strangers with no personal stake in the situation were weighing in. The reactions were emotional, divisive, and overwhelming. Some stood firmly behind Iman, praising him for taking swift legal action to protect his daughter. They insisted he shouldn't be villainized for stepping up. Sometimes the quiet parent is the one holding it all together, one post read. He did what needed to be done. Period. To them, he wasn't trying to hurt Teyana, he was trying to save his child. But for every supporter of Iman, there was another voice rising in defense of Teyana. Many were shocked, even heartbroken, by how the legal filing had unfolded. This isn't just family drama, one user posted. This is emotional warfare. People didn't see it as just a disagreement between co-parents. They saw it as betrayal, as manipulation, as yet another example of how quickly women, especially mothers, can go from being praised to being questioned, from being nurturers to being put on trial, both in court and in the court of public opinion. Comment sections turned into digital battlegrounds. Long threads of arguments, debates, personal stories, and heated back-and-forths filled the timelines. Even parenting blogs and advocacy accounts picked up the conversation, urging their followers to look deeper than the headlines. Hashtags like #Teyana Blindsided, #CustodyWar, and #ProtectTheChild weren't just internet trends. They were deeply emotional cries from people who had lived through something similar. It wasn't just about Teyana anymore. Suddenly, everyone had a story to tell. What began as a private legal filing quickly became a cultural moment. A symbol. A mirror reflecting countless silent struggles in households all over the world, where trust dissolves without warning, where one person makes a decision that changes everything, where children are forced into roles they never asked for. The custody case wasn't just a case anymore. It was personal, even to strangers. It brought back memories. It touched wounds. It raised questions no one had answers to. And the internet didn't slow down. If anything, the noise kept building. Inside the courtroom, the chaos didn't die down either. The judge, clearly aware of the media frenzy surrounding the case, granted a temporary hold on all decisions. A follow-up hearing was scheduled to allow both sides more time to present their evidence. This was no longer a matter of simple paperwork. Every word, every document, every emotional expression was being scrutinized. Teyana's legal team moved quickly. They began building a case to push back against the narrative that had been dropped on her so suddenly. They said she wasn't negligent or careless. She had already taken serious steps to distance her daughter from Aaron. She had been working toward healing her home. They promised to submit records, statements, and character references to prove that the environment in her household was improving. They weren't just defending her rights as a mother. They were fighting to protect her name, her credibility, and the relationship she had worked so hard to rebuild with her daughter. But even as her legal team prepared for the next round, Teyana herself felt the emotional damage might already be done. When the judge ordered full psychological evaluations, not just for the child, but for both parents too, something shifted. This wasn't going to be resolved in one hearing. It wouldn't be neat or easy. It would be long, hard, and public. Every move, every decision, would be watched not just by lawyers and professionals, but by the millions of eyes online who had decided to invest themselves in the story. And the cruelest part? The truth, whatever it may be, might not even matter anymore. Because trust, once it's broken, doesn't care about facts. It cares about feelings. And those feelings were already shattered. Iman may believe with every fiber of his being that he did what was right. He may truly think that filing for custody, without warning, was the only way to guarantee his daughter's well-being. He may see it as an act of love. But Teyana doesn't see it that way. Not anymore. To her, this wasn't protection, it was betrayal. She didn't see a man trying to help. She saw a man she once loved, once built a home with, standing on the other side of a courtroom, delivering blow after blow in legal language. Not giving her a conversation. Not even a warning. Just silence. And then, suddenly, war. She can't even hear the words spoken in that courtroom. She can't even see the way he looked at her while making claims she wasn't ready to defend. Whatever they had built in their years of parenting together, however complicated, however imperfect, it cracked wide open that day. And their daughter, she's the one carrying the weight. She's just a child, watching the two people she loves the most turn into adversaries. Watching her family split not just in space, but in spirit. This isn't just about legal motions and custody arrangements. This is about people. About hearts that once beat together now beating against each other. About the unspoken wounds we carry into relationships and the damage we do when we act out of fear instead of trust. Teyana doesn't want revenge. She wants clarity. She wants healing. But that feels almost impossible now, with everything that's been said and done. The legal process will continue. There will be hearings, arguments, and evaluations. There will be rulings and orders and more headlines. But beneath it all lies something far more fragile than any court document. The emotional well-being of a child, and the crumbling bridge between two people who once stood on the same side. This situation has stopped being about who's right and who's wrong. It's become a story of how love can turn into silence, how silence can turn into strategy, and how strategy can break more than just trust, it can break families. One secret move. One unexpected filing. That's all it took to change everything. And now, the emotional war has begun, not just between two people, but inside each of them. They'll have to find a way forward, not just through lawyers, but through pain, through honesty, through rebuilding. If not for themselves, then for the one person who didn't ask for any of this, but who now carries the burden of it all. The child. The heart at the center of the storm. And right now, that heart deserves more than what either parent has been able to give. Do you think Iman did the right thing by filing secretly? Or did he cross a line that should never be crossed? Was this truly about protection, or about control hidden behind concern? Share your thoughts in the comments. This one will divide hearts. And if you believe family court should never be about painful surprises, hit like and subscribe for more raw, emotional stories that reveal the truth behind the headlines.